Welcome back. We're going to talk more about interviewing in this segment. So we spent some time talking about getting ready for an interview, getting an opportunity for an interview, how we're going to lay ourselves out, how we're going to market ourselves, our elevator speech, all that good stuff. And here moving forward, we want to assume that you got that chance. You had the right tools, you had the right stuff, and they're going to call you in for an interview. So breathe, get excited, and prepare. Now it's time to get ready for the interview. So what does it take to get ready for the interview? One of the things I really want to encourage you to do is to practice. And I really mean that sincerely, particularly those of you who don't have much experience in interviewing for jobs. Now, once you've done a whole bunch of them, the practice is a little less important, although you want to learn about each particular job. But those first interviews you've ever had, they're nerve-wracking. You're nervous. And so the more practice you do, the better you're going to feel more comfortable in doing that. And thinking about what are the questions they might ask, writing those things down, making sure that you have answers to those questions. And bring your copy of your resume. Be comfortable to look back and reference that if you need to, or your letters of recommendation, and bring all those things with you. But practice the interview. Sit with a friend, sit with somebody else, and kind of just work through it. It will help with the jitters. It really will. So once you get that job and you think about those things, the other thing you want to do is research the company. Companies love to hear that you took the time to research their company, and that not only are you there to get a job, but you want that job and that you want to work for that company. So research the company, find out some good stuff about them, write down some notes for yourself, have questions prepared for that interviewer about the company. And if you don't have any questions, make sure that you can dialogue with them about the company. Hey, I saw that you guys have been in business since 1930. That's really awesome. Is this your only location? Or, are there still original staff here? Or something if you don't have a question. And if you do have a question, write down some good, solid questions. They're going to feel engaged, and they're going to feel like you really care about them and you want to work for that company. You're not just looking to get a job, and then I feel like you might just try to get a different job. You want to work here. So make sure that you take that opportunity to do so. So prepare for the questions and research the company. That's very important. Also, now you got to think about, what am I going to wear to that interview? Now, of course, I don't know what job you're interviewing for, so it's kind of difficult for me to say. I can say you need to be clean. You need to be well dressed. And you want to think about what's right. There are some things that are always wrong. Tank tops are almost always wrong. I can't think of too many jobs where a tank top or short shorts or a mini skirt is the way to go. Okay, so you don't want to do those kind of things. But what is the right dress? You don't need a 3-piece suit to interview for a job at McDonald's. And they might think that's a little bit overboard. You can do it, but you don't really need to. What you want to kind of think about is, what is this job that I want? What is the job I'm interviewing for? Making sure I'm dressed the part for the job that I want. And maybe for a really important day in the job I want, like the best dressed day of that job that I'm seeking. And look around. If you have an opportunity to research that company, what are the kind of things that other people wear? You may have a great suit and it's your favorite suit, but it's yellow. And if everybody there wears only earth tones, don't wear the yellow. Don't wear the yellow. Go with earth tones if everybody wears earth tones. If nobody wears a suit, then maybe you want to back off from that. Or maybe jewelry is something you want to keep in mind. Do I want too much jewelry, or should I have a little bit less jewelry? Those kind of things. So think about the job that you want in that company that you want to be in, and be dressed up for that particular job. So you look like you're ready to start that job when you walk in for that interview. Always be clean. Always be polished. Make sure that you don't come in with food on your clothes. Make sure you don't smell. Make sure your hair is combed. Let's go through the basics. And make sure you're ready. It will also help you to feel a lot more confident for that. True story. I interviewed somebody a handful of years ago, and I'm not even kidding. He came in with a flyaway collar and low cut, think John Travolta going to the discotheque, and literally had sequins on his shirt. He looked like he was out for a discotheque. He did not look like he was interviewing for a job at all. In fact, I found it distracting to even interview him. So you don't want to be that. I guess he was dressed up, but he wasn't really dressed for the job. that he was interviewing for. So you want to keep that in mind. Am I looking like the part for the job that I'm going to be going into? Okay? Don't worry if you haven't been established in your career field yet and you don't have that great suit yet, or you don't have an expensive suit yet, or you don't have all the fancy things that that's okay. Interviewers know that. They understand that. They respect that. You can still be clean. You can still be well dressed. You can still be handling yourself in a good way. So if you don't have the most expensive things, that's all right. Don't let that stop you from moving forward. But make sure that what you have is displayed in the best way that you can do so. Now, you get the offer. They offered you the job. Congratulations! I'm super excited. I'm so happy for you. I'm looking forward to that email telling me that you got that job offer. I am ecstatic for you. So what do you need to do? Well, it depends. Either accept it immediately, if it's the job you want, you felt perfect about it, and everything lines up perfectly, accept the job. Tell them, thank you so much for your time, you're looking forward, and figure out what it goes from there. Do I need to take a drug screening? Do I need to do background screenings or clearances? When do I show up? What do you need from me? Sometimes you may have been doing multiple interviews, and you may want to take a minute and say, can I have a minute to think about this? Can I get back with you tomorrow? A minute, a day, not a week, not 2 weeks, not 3 weeks. If an employer offers you a job and you can't get back with them within a couple of days, max, don't wait for a month and think they're going to hold that job for you. They know you're scouting out other jobs. They're not going to. So if you interviewed and you want the job, you need to be ready to accept it in a short period of time. Think a day. Think overnight and kind of get back with you tomorrow kind of thing. And again, an employer expects that. They know that you might need to talk it over with your family or something like that, but you need to get back with them right away if you can. And if you have any questions on that job, ask those then. Sometimes after we interview, we go home and then we go, oh, that job would be great, but I didn't think about, wow, what is there? Do they have travel reimbursement? Do I have to work on Saturdays? Or whatever those things are. Ask those questions before you accept the position. So it's okay to think about that for, that night. Get back with them with your questions as well. But make sure that you don't leave them hanging on, because they won't hold the job forever. And in that process, you always want to make sure that you have an understanding of the compensation package as well. What are you going to be paid for that position, or what are the benefits that are going to be attached to that position? Particularly if you're looking at 2 positions or a couple of different opportunities, you want to make sure you take the one that is the best for you. You may want to compare your job offer to other job offers, or other job offers that would be reasonable to think that you could or would get. So don't position yourself with somebody who's got way more experience than you. But for me, at my level, and there's some tools out there that you can use in the job force to look into, like, I would expect to make approximately this much for this job. I want to be this position. What are other people in other jobs, or what are other people in their field making? And so you want to make sure that you're looking for that. Understanding entry level sometimes is a little bit lower. You may be asking questions about advancement or growth opportunities from there. So make sure you're fair, but make sure you don't undercut yourself as well. And don't be afraid to ask for a job that's a pay or a benefit package that's equivalent to what they're offering others, or what is being offered in the field around them. So you want to make sure that you're fair and that you're advocating for yourself. And when you do negotiate, make sure that you're negotiating to what that market value is for that job. For example, if you're moving from another state, from New York to Florida, the pay base is just lower in Florida. It just is. So you want to compare it to that market. So for this job in New York, you may get $40,000 a year. But in Florida, the people doing that job with the experience level that you have, they average 35. So you need to expect 35. Even though you may have known 40 before, that was in a different market, that was in a different area. So make sure you're cross-referencing that in the best way that you can. Take in the whole picture as well. What are all the things that they offer? Perhaps another job may offer a little bit more money, but you have to pay for insurance, but this job pays for your insurance, or pays partial for your insurance, or things like that. Benefits, perks, time off, Things like that. Maybe the job pays just a little bit less, but you don't have to work evenings or weekends, and that's very important to you. So take in the whole picture when you make that decision. I don't know what that right decision is for you. I just know that you need to inventory it and make sure it's the right one for you when you make that decision. What if you don't get the job? You dressed the part, you rocked the interview, you did a great job, and I still didn't get the interview. I still didn't get the job. That doesn't mean you're not great. That doesn't mean they didn't like you. Doesn't mean they wouldn't have hired you if they had more jobs, but they only had one. And somebody sneaked in there that had more experience, or they already had an experience with them, or maybe moved from a lateral position, so they were already proven in the field. It just means you didn't get that job. You need to stay positive. You need to keep trying. You keep working those networks. The fact that they called you in for an interview meant you had some really good stuff. Don't take that as a rejection. It just wasn't your job yet. The next one's going to come. Review your job search, though. Make sure when you're looking at that, were there any mistakes in my resume? Were there any problems? Were there any things that I could have or should have done differently? If you're still stuck and you're still not getting jobs, broaden your scope. Sometimes entering something just a little bit different, or looking in a different region, or if I'm really like career builders and that's what I keep using, maybe look at Monster. Maybe look at Indeed. Maybe look at a different website. Google, what are the best jobs? Where do I get a job in this? Maybe going to a company website. There are a lot of companies out there that don't advertise on job boards. They only advertise internally. So I really want to work for this particular company. Google, how do I get a job for that company? They may only have an internal website. You might have missed the boat. So now you know where it is. You can go put yourself in the running for that next job. Stay active and keep working it. Now, if you didn't do so great in the interview and the nerves got the best of you, that happens too. But use that as a learning opportunity. What went wrong, and how can I make sure that that doesn't happen again? So learn to take it with a grain of salt. Learn to laugh at yourself and get back up on the horse and ride. And the next time is going to be a lot better because you've had this experience and you know how to do it better. You may have 3, 4, 5 interviews that don't work out. That's okay. That's okay. We're learning. You don't have all the skills when you first jump into the boat. You just don't. When I have people join my classes, frequently students are like, I just don't know this, or I've been out of school for so long, or, I feel so bad. Realistically, if you had all the skills, you wouldn't need the class. I know that. I know my job is to teach you those skills, so I don't expect you to have it all down the first time. The same thing happens with your jobs. Give yourself a break. You're not always going to get the first job or the best job the first time. But if you stick with it, you do the right things, you use the right tools, you advance your skills, you'll get there. I know you will. So good luck, and I'm looking forward to that email that tells me that you landed that job you're looking for. See you soon.